Star Trek. I think that's what we're talking about today, right?
Yes, that's exactly what we're talking about. So if you didn't get that intro,
I think Luke's definitely going to the dark side.
Yes. Oh, and we're live. Welcome to Earth 2 Comic Cast, where superheroes exist and Star Trek talk is the norm. It's your boy Mo Crosby. I am joined today with officially now part of Earth 2.
Oh, Patrick. Officially as of last week, right?
Yes, as of last week, yeah.
All right.
Officially now. So he's no longer Patrick from Seattle. He's Patrick from Earth 2. So
I'm Patrick from Earth 2.
Yes, welcome, Patrick.
So I'm like the old.
It's always a pleasure. Yes, and I'll be Henry.
Is that the Earth 2 Superman? Is the old Superman?
Yes, the old Superman. Yep. Yeah. I'll probably be new 52 Superman.
No, Anthony's the loser.
Oh man,
who knows what shady stuff that guy is up to, so he can't get on.
Right. Okay, so yeah, the regular cast would be Chris from Three Black Geeks and Anthony from Draw 4, but they're over.
Anthony's too cool. He doesn't want to get. The truth of the matter is, he's the biggest Star Trek fan of us all, but that kills some cred for him. So he has to.
Yes.
Has to play it cool.
Yeah, so we're back to talk about Star Trek Discovery. We do this discussion every week with every episode. We've done it from 1, 2, 3, and then we're at 5.
Yeah.
And episode 5 is titled Choose Your Pain. I can't do the voice. I tried, but the title of the episode is Choose.
It's so bad I don't even know what voice you were trying to do.
The guard voice.
Oh, you're Klingon. All right. I was like, who's that? Is that Lorca?
Lorca's too cool for me. I can't do his voice. He's so cool.
He's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. Choose your pain. And we find out the reason for that line. And when we find out, I thought it was pretty awesome. I thought it had a nice backstory to it, and I thought it was awesome.
It was interesting. I don't know if it actually worked, but it was interesting.
Yeah, it was. What's funny is the last week's episode was The Butcher's Knife Cares Not for the Lamb's Cry. And honestly, you could have used that title for this episode.
It's true. Well, because it's interesting. So we'll get to this, but what I liked about this episode is there was no real B plot. So for the other episodes, it seemed like there was a main plot and kind of minor stuff going on. Yes. This had 3 different narratives, I would say, going on. I guess the most B plot of them would have been Saru kind of figuring himself out as captain.
Yeah, trying to figure himself out. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
But really had 3 real plots all going on simultaneously
at the same time. From everyone looking at stuff from different
way more Star Trek.
Yes,
and I think we'll get to that, but.
And what I also like is the show is starting to feel, it's starting to stray away from the movie, the Big Bang, and just start to, close itself to Star Trek.
Yeah, I did notice some major lens flare in this episode, though, so I'm sure the lens flare haters are going nuts. Nobody even watched this episode. They just heard that there was cussing in it, and then they tweeted about it. That's what I learned. Because if you go on Twitter, it's all of Twitter is talking about is that they dropped the F word.
2 times.
Twice
in the same scene. It was beautiful. But it did catch me off guard. It's I'm watching it and I heard it. And I was
have you ever watched Game of Thrones? Have you it's going to be okay.
Game of Thrones, Star Trek. Star Trek is supposed to be if Game of Thrones is Zack Snyder's version of Superman, Star Trek would be.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Star Trek. Actually, Star Trek Discovery to some fans is Zack Snyder's Superman.
It's true. A lot of people. Yes, I agree. I disagree with that assessment, but I know that's where a lot of people are coming from.
To some fans, it's just not my Star Trek. I can't get behind this. I can't get with
I
it.
know.
But
and so I guess the cuss
people.
words are like a representation for them of a bigger issue they have with the show. But also, what's up with people who don't like this show still subscribing? Like, go away. Stop paying money for the show. We don't want you here.
They want to just so they can watch it to complain. Yeah, just so they can watch it to complain. That's it. That's what I start to figure out mostly now in this internet age and the age we are is people don't necessarily watch anything to watch it anymore. Everyone wants to watch it as a critic and watch to complain. I watched this show because I enjoy. Like after seeing the first 2 episodes, I watched it as a critic. But ever since then, it's like, yo, this is a beautiful show, and I love it. I love the storylines. I like the what it's building to. And this is another thing I wanted to talk about before we get into the episode. What I think the show is getting into is we're going to see, I think I said this last week, but I'll repeat it again. We're going to see why Starfleet is the way they are moving forward.
Right.
And I think Discovery is going to end here. You're not going to hear, like, it's not going to be one of those things that it's going to be repeated.
Well, there's
every so often.
That great quote that Akiva Goldsman, was I think one of the directors on the show, said. She said, "Ours is a story of redemption. Ours is the origin of feelings that is the original series. That's why we are 10 years before the original series. But we don't start there. We get there. The name of the show is Discovery, not by accident. It is how these people discover who they are, and as a representation of the personal, how the Federation reaffirms what it is." So I think what she's saying is sense. Like, my original series is almost like this utopian world, right? And how does a utopia happen? It's like, it doesn't, you just can't just wave your hands and then everybody works together well. And so I think this is the story of how that happens. I think some major stuff's going to happen.
You have to crack a few eggs to make an omelet. Isn't that how that goes?
Yeah. That's how it goes. So
Discovery is the eggshells, because once you dump the eggshells, you're eating the eggs. You forget how the egg was made. You just eat that. When you go to a restaurant, you say, "Can I get waffles and eggs?" They bring you waffles and eggs. You didn't ask them how many eggs they cracked into you. You just eat what you're presented. And so Discovery is the process behind the scenes.
You totally lost me with this analogy, but sure, eat your eggs. Just eat your eggs.
Right. All right. So let's get into choose. Okay. Let's get into choose your pain. So I'm gonna run it down real quick, and then we're gonna talk. We're gonna review, and I'm gonna just recap real quick. So she wakes up from what I believe is a bad
such an intense scene.
Yes, and that scene, funny that it happened because it's 360. It wasn't her at the end of the day. Was in the machine.
Yeah.
When I'll get to that when I get to this, but yeah. She wakes up having a dream that she was in the
I kind of wondered when that scene happened if Ripper had some sort of like psychic power that was planning that in her head.
Yes, I wrote my notes. I'm like, is she connected to Ripper? And it doesn't look like you're psychically connected to because Ripper is only connected to the mycelium spores, as we can see.
Right.
And then from there we see Lorca in his debrief, and I was like, Patrick is gonna come on and gonna be like, I was right, I told you, because even after last week's episode, I still swore that Lorca was doing.
He is not acting alone.
But
he does have some strange. I don't totally understand his story as far as he is crazy independent and able to do whatever he wants on his ship, and yet at the same time, we now know from backstory that he probably isn't the most well-revered captain. So how do you have this kind of level? I guess because they're at war with the Klingons, they're like, let's go get the captain who hates the Klingons the most.
Yes.
And put him on our most advanced ship, I guess.
And what I love most about this is everyone on that ship, to me, I'm not sure about some of the other people, but a majority, like, let's talk about the major players on the ship.
Yeah.
Michael, Lorca, and Saru. They are connected from the Battle of the Binaries.
Right.
So,
and now
there's that connection.
Ash, right?
Yes, Ash. Yes, the sex slave.
The captain really likes me on this ship.
I'm watching the show and I'm like, I'm just gonna write sex slave. I didn't care to learn his name. But I'm like, there's no way I can do this episode.
Sex slave.
there's no way I can do this episode without writing sex, without learning his name. So I had to learn his name. But yeah, so Ash is on, and we find out the regulation that let him conscript Michael. So regulation 139-82. And that's why
everybody knows that. That's often quoted in Star Trek.
Well, I just like to I like to write stuff down. So don't kill my vibe, okay? Don't kill my vibe. And on his way back, he's treating his eyes, and so we find out from the Admiral that he actually hurt his eyes during the Battle of the Mariner. Did he tell us what happened when we met him?
No. Well, he told us that he couldn't see in the light, and I was like, all right, what's the point of that?
All right, so now we know why he can't see, or what happened to his eye. And
I'm glad that came up. I'm glad that has purpose, and it has good purpose, because I was like, are they just trying to make him more brooding? Are they just making up an excuse for the sets to be darker? Like, what's the point of this? So
you can always have him in the dark. He's Batman.
Yeah, exactly. Much. It was like an excuse for Batman in Star Trek. I was like, why are we doing this? Now, I think I like it. We'll get to that. I think I like why.
Yeah. So he's apprehended by the Klingons, and we have another red shirt moment on the show. Pilot.
It's fine.
And so we come to the part where I love, and I have in all caps in my notes, Saru is captain now.
Yes. Oh, and also, exactly, Saru is now captain. And also, where was I going with that? This is what I was going to say is this is later. This is like 3 weeks after the last episode.
Yes.
So that's pretty important. It's pretty important because they've been doing more missions, going around saving people.
Yes. I'm sorry. Thank you for bringing that up, because things have been happening.
Yeah.
And so this was during the debrief. This is why I shouldn't have skipped that, because during the debrief, he was told, yo, you need to calm it down, because everyone is your name is starting to circulate around, people
right.
Who you are and what
and
you're
as
doing.
if that's not worse enough, you go and take the mutineer and put her on your ship. Like, so whatever goodwill you had is now lost.
Yeah, and the fact, so it's just, you need to calm down while we need to go look for more Rippers.
Right.
What was tardigrades?
Yep.
Yes. So we need to go look for more tardigrades. So you calm down. He's like, what do you mean? We're winning. You don't need, I got this. Da, 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 da. She's like, no, just calm down. We'll take care of it.
Is this the first ever example of an admiral being right in Star Trek?
Admiral Pike. You know what? Has
an admiral ever had words of real wisdom before in Star Trek until now?
Hold on. If we're discounting the Abrams movies, the second one, Into Darkness.
Yeah. I don't count those.
Okay, so if that doesn't exist,
it's in the Kelvin universe.
Thank you for bringing that up, because this moment, this episode gave me validation. Right. We'll get to that in a minute. But yes, like we were saying, so that doesn't exist. So yes, this is the very first time an admiral has been right, or an admiral said something and it calls you to pause and listen.
Yeah.
So
an admiral is right, rather than just being this foil for the captain to look cool when he disobeys orders.
But they
let's be honest.
Yes. So on his way back, he gets captured, and I think something is missing, because how did they know where?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's interesting because they targeted him. Now they got cloaking technology, but they definitely went after him and knew where he was, what shuttle he was in. So something's going on. Because I think there'll be more to that. I hope there's more to that.
Because the way I look at it is, if he's that important to you, if his mission is that important, you should have at least 2 decoy ships, or 2 decoy, 2 decoy transport vehicles. Like his shouldn't be the only. Yes, but I'm just saying his shouldn't be the only one traveling.
Sure. I think the Federation doesn't know how to exist in a wartime, to be honest with you.
Well, then again,
I don't think they really know what they're doing. Right,
because this is the first time that we're seeing like them in pre-Enterprise or in a war.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I don't think they really know what they're doing.
Yeah, so up to this point, they may have just been explorers. And
can you imagine if NASA had to go to war right now? They'd be like,
no, we die. We die.
I don't know what we're doing.
Earth would be in one day. But yeah, Saru is captain. Like, that's the most important part of this episode. Like, that's all I have to say. Episode over. We move on to
Saru is captain. Exciting.
That's it. I know.
Didn't I say they're gonna find an excuse? I said it.
Yeah, and you call that every episode or most of the episodes. This, even the fact that she's not the first officer anymore, but she's the main. She's one of the main players. They're gonna find a reason to get up on the bridge, and as you called it,
she walked up the bridge. She said, "I'm gonna put myself on this bridge."
And the worst part about it is that shouldn't there be a security officer always with her? Just because
she's a mutineer and dangerous and all these things,
or because that, given what happened at a mess hall in episode 1.
That's true. I don't know. I have no idea. Federation. The thing is, you can pass all that stuff off to Federation ignorance, and they don't know how to deal with bad people.
All right, fine.
They don't. Did you watch the Dominion War?
You're right.
Thank goodness for Klingons.
All right. Ooh, this is why I kind of miss Anthony this episode, because I wanted to find out what he felt about the Klingon fight, because we got a bunch of them. You know, when they jumped in his transfer vehicle, and he tried to fight them all.
Really see, I always like when they show the difference between disruptors and phasers and how like just evil disruptors are.
Yes. So like I would have loved to hear Anthony's opinion on that. I'm sure he would have come in and said, nah, they were nerfed. Like, how could you just fight a Klingon and punch him?
He's not here. Well, I'm not talking about him anymore.
Okay.
He's not on this podcast. We're not giving
any more of our time. Okay, good. All right. So Michael comes on and she's already started feeling a way about Ripper. And she's like, hey, look, he is feeling the effects of whatever we're doing. Every jump that we've taken, like you stated earlier, they've been doing the missions. Jumping.
I was really surprised how unempathetic Saru was in that moment.
And yes, that's what I was thinking about, because again, the reason I felt like, before we found out why he didn't like her, the reason I felt like he never liked her was because he felt like she made decisions without empathy, and she didn't think too much because she was Vulcan.
Right.
Saru exhibited everything he said about her.
Yeah.
To her.
Also, the whole her being Vulcan thing, like, it almost doesn't exist anymore.
Anymore. Yeah, she's done being Vulcan.
One of my concerns for the show right now is like, she does not seem in any way Vulcan. Yeah, other than being smart. But Vulcan shouldn't just be like an excuse to make a character smart.
Well, so now, would this be the first series without a Vulcan? No, right?
No. Like Deep Space Nine doesn't have a Vulcan. Neither does
Deep Space Nine doesn't have a But like, anyway, so I grew up with a show that had a Vulcan.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and she seemed more Vulcan. And I'm not saying, I understand Michael's not a Vulcan, but why make her an adopted child of a Vulcan if she's not going to have... I feel like I should see more struggle between those two halves of who she is. Kind of like what you saw with Spock.
Yeah, but we only saw that in like maybe the first 2 episodes, and maybe even the third. But now it seemed more like she's more in touch with the humans and emotion side.
Yeah, she's not... Yeah, exactly. So maybe that'll come into play later.
Yes. So I think right now she's like in touch with that because she's trying to be like, because of Ripper. I think because of Ripper, she's in touch with this side. So
that's fair.
Moving into where she'd have to be more of a science officer, we're gonna probably see more of that logic side come into it. I hope. One can only hope. So she comes in and she tells Saru, and Saru's like, the captain's been kidnapped. Like, what are you talking about? I don't care. Like, I don't care. Let's do it. We're jumping. Yeah. Like,
he's like, so one of the things that's really nice in this episode, it really shows, actually all the episodes, it really shows the dynamics of the bridge versus everybody not on the bridge. Like, the bridge just doesn't care about things that are going on the rest of the show.
No, they really don't.
It's just not their concern.
It's like you can literally have 2 shows, Bridge and everyone else.
Yeah. It's like Downton Abbey.
Really. Do you know, so one of the characters that's always looked weird to me on the bridge what's her name? Lieutenant Detmer. She's the one with
the android, or is it the?
Yes. She kind of looks like hey, look who it is. Hey guy.
It's not Anthony.
Nothing much. Basically, just got in traffic, and I hate this fucking area. Man. The cameras. Got a $100 ticket in DC because apparently they put a speeding camera in an intersection that I didn't know had a fucking speeding camera.
Now, don't you wish you had a tardigrade so you could just jump and work at home?
Nice transition, Mo. Nice transition.
I wish.
Now. You have a tardigrade. And I think
we officially dropped the F-bomb this episode as many times as they did in the last Star Trek.
Right.
Well done, CJ.
And hopefully no one is surprised. Hopefully. No, I'm not. That threw me the fuck off. Like and the worst part is who it came from. It came from the person who I wouldn't have thought it would have come from. I would have thought like maybe Stamets.
Yeah, totally. It was great.
I would have thought maybe Stamets, and it came from Tilly, and I was like, whoa.
So we're getting into your favorite part of the whole show, right? Because this is when Saru walks into the room and says, "Who are the greatest captains who have ever been a part of Federation?" And then who do they list? Who do they list?
I was so happy.
For those I don't have anybody else. Has a bit of a love for Enterprise that may or may not be deserved.
I don't have anybody else's name written down, but I have Archer.
All right. Well, I know. I bet you wrote that down. I bet you were dancing. I bet you paused and did a little victory dance.
How did you know?
I will say this. I will say this about the latest episode. I like how deep cut it went. Big time.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So the names are Robert April, who I think was apparently a captain that shows up in the animated series.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Jonathan Archer, who is really a nobody. He's really a nobody. Really a nobody.
Enterprise.
Yeah, nobody.
Enterprise. Star Trek Enterprise.
Matthew Decker. Do you guys know what Matthew Decker's from?
Sounds familiar.
All right. Philippa Giorgio, who of course is from the Shenzhou, and then Christopher Pike, who is actually out there flying the Enterprise as the show is going on somewhere. So I think he's the only one who's alive. We don't know who Matthew Decker is, but
yes, he's the only one who's alive.
Yeah.
And another, I think what also makes Discovery really great to me is the fact that with every week we get a drop of something, Star Trek lore, and it's like, something happened. This is great. This week we got Harry Mudd.
Dog. Okay.
I was waiting for somebody to take over.
It's not enough. It's not enough that we get Captain Lorca, aka evil as evil can be, even though considering the show is foreshadowing.
He's not evil. We've been over this.
He's not even
evil.
Put it way. He's not.
He totally leaves you on that planet, captain. Though.
Put it way. Unlike what's her face,
and blows you up.
If Saru had been captured and Lorca was on the other side of the bridge,
it's over. It's over.
Saru would have
right.
Saru would have been.
Just the fact that you have Lorca and Harry Mudd in the same cell together.
Oh my god! That was awesome. I think that's what took this episode to the next level. And so we get that, and then then we get.
What do you guys think of Rainn Wilson playing Mudd?
Oh, I loved him. Oh,
yeah.
He had a charisma about him that I was like, yes. If Harry Mudd decides to get his own spinoff after this,
that would be hilarious. I would watch that.
I'd watch it. Yes,
that would be hilarious.
So Lorca's captured, and so we get to see more, and so Saru, they find out where Lorca is or what system is at, and they jump to that.
Yep.
And then we actually see now the tardigrade.
I thought that tardigrade was dead.
He's like, I'm over this.
He's dead. I was like, that's it. They're done. They're stuck out in Klingon space.
And it's so funny, especially after last week, that one death. Is everyone who's down in every episode now is like, oh crap, they're dead.
They're dead. Yeah, they're dead.
Yeah.
It's like we're done.
Yep. I thought the tardigrade was dead.
I thought it was dead, but it shed its water and it balled up and everything. Black Alert looks so much cooler now in this episode, And they gave you a new
view of the saucer,
a new animation.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I thought it was beautiful. I'm like, every week they just outdo themselves on the ship, and you know, the first week we just got to see it spin out and went in close, and you saw it go, and I was like, yes, it's beautiful.
And, I mean, hey, when they're not restricted to a network budget, they can do wonders.
Patrick, do you want to drop that line we talked about earlier?
Oh, when she goes down to talk to Stamets. It is the best line ever. So she's trying to convince Stamets, right, that this has happened with the tardigrade, and he's like not having it. And then she does something weird with her mouth, and he's like, "What are you doing with your mouth?" And she's like, "I am swallowing the urge to set the record straight." And I was like, yes, like that was amazing. That line, that was, if I was naming this episode, I would have named it "Setting the Record Straight." Swallowing the urge. That has other implications.
No, but he said it with so much sass, and I was like, and Stamets looked at her like, "Okay, all right, I got you.
Yeah,
Portobello. All right, you got it." And and so apparently Harry Mudd was getting information from whatever Starfleet captains they had captured. He would talk to them and try to get stuff out of them, and then they'll get tortured by this Klingon, captain. This was the funniest episode hands down, because we find that another prisoner on the ship actually, who's like, and
that's L'Rell,
like,
right? Mm-hmm. It's L'Rell who's doing the torturing, right?
Yep.
Yes. No, that was not L'Rell.
It wasn't? I'm pretty sure it's L'Rell. Like no, it's L'Rell. It's L'Rell.
Oh, well, that's cool, because she's literally the only.
You know what's really cool I found out with L'Rell from the After Trek part was that
it is L'Rell.
It is L'Rell. So what I found out is they worked really hard to figure out, because you notice when she speaks English, it doesn't quite sound right.
Nope.
Yes.
So they looked at what sounds aren't in Klingon and then created their own like bad English Klingon accent for her to use when she's speaking English. Is that crazy?
Dirty. It sounded dirty Irish. I thought she was Irish. Oh,
well, it may dirty have had unintended consequences, but they were like, they basically said, all right, these sounds never come up in Klingon, so she shouldn't be able to say those sounds when she's speaking English, which is pretty cool. It's a lot of work.
If you watch The Foreigner, and we all know Pierce Brosnan isn't Irish, but they asked him to do an Irish accent, and they just kept throwing me off. And that's exactly what she sounded like. I'm like,
yep, Kellen, they're gonna bomb him. that was Pierce Brosnan throughout The Foreigner, basically.
Yes. Just stop. Just say Bond, James Bond, and end the movie right there. Just stop.
Yeah.
But okay, let's get back. So we find out that there's another prisoner on the ship who's being tortured, and
I don't trust that guy.
I don't trust him. And
I got thoughts and suspicions, and apparently there's fan theories, and I don't trust that guy.
Lorca says, how come, everyone else looks wounded except for maybe
Harry right there? What Danes? What have we done to Dane your presence on the podcast? Have we sacrificed enough wolves and our firstborn that you should come?
I think Anthony has a tardigrade in possession. So he just jumped into the chat. Hey, Anthony, what's going on?
What's going on, people? Sorry I'm late. I like to uphold stereotypes.
Well, welcome, though. We're talking, and Anthony, so we got to ask you how you felt. I have to ask you two questions. How did you feel about Saru being captain? Did that give you pure joy?
It did. As soon as some tasted gangali hung from his hand, I was like, yeah. That's like fruit lollipops. You notice it? I would just put a straw on the back of his head, just slurp. It looks like a milkshake, like a nice strawberry milkshake.
The next question I have for you is, how did you feel about Harry Mudd and Lorca in the same setting?
I enjoyed it, and I remember Harry Mudd from at least one of the animated series episodes, and then he was like a con artist that would show up in the original series.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool to see him in that. I like the connection. He was doing what Harry Mudd things would do. I mean, he was doing muddy things, cruddy things that Harry Mudd would do. I liked it. I liked this whole episode, and this whole episode,
Mud.
This whole episode, there was only one nitpick, as Mo would call it, that I had with this episode. But like, this whole episode gave me a better appreciation for where they're going and what they're trying to do.
All right, cool. So we find out that so we meet the sex slave, which was the funny part, and Lorca's getting tortured. Lorca's getting tortured, and he's like, "How is it that you have an affinity towards a human? Things don't line up right." And I died. I just this is there were so many points. Anthony, one more question. So goes into the captain's ready room and asks the computer to list the names of the top captains. Did you catch one of the
Jonathan
names?
Archer?
Yes.
Jonathan Archer? Yeah, he should be. I like Jonathan Archer. I mean, they showed me the most boring part of Starfleet's life, but I like Jonathan Archer. And I think they can make up because in one of the movies they said they beamed this dog to another planet that never came back. So I'm good with seeing him.
Yes, and I think it was the first Star Trek.
The first Star Trek,
2009.
I actually felt sad for that Beagle when he was like that Beagle never came back. I was like, because I knew how much Archer loved this dog. I was like,
you loved that Beagle.
No, you loved that
Beagle. Beagle was as much as a part of the show as the ship.
He was like the fourth most interesting character on the ship.
I was about to say that. He was one of the most interesting cast members on the whole show.
You can go. Anthony, it's time for you to go, I think.
You still miss me?
I think it's no, okay, so we find out that Sarah still blames Michael for Giorgio, and it's not that she blames Michael for Giorgio. She just feels that Michael got to learn from Giorgio, and she never got he never got the opportunity.
Did I miss that food was a woman? I was like, I think I missed that. I was like,
he never got the, so it's, there's a natural process and a natural succession to things, and it's like, you were next. You were definitely next in line. And
I totally get that.
I was going to learn.
Have you ever been in that position?
Going to learn from.
I feel like I've been in that position in my life where I'm like, I want to totally learn and hang out with this guy, but this other person has to move up first. So I totally understand.
And that was actually a really good. I mean, it'd have been easy just to go the straight you killed my captain and my crew, my ship route, but to put it into a personal you got to. They're kind of like children. I mean, not in a bad way, just
they're like brother and sister.
Right, and you got mom's attention and her skill and her knowledge, and when you were going to go off to college, it was going to be me and mom's turn, and you ruined that for me.
Yeah,
you ruined that for me. I really like that. That was probably, and I like that he owned it. I liked Rations. I liked his whole little mini arc in that, from trying to pick what are the parameters of a best captain to have, because he never had that experience. I mean, he never got really taught. I don't think Locust teaching him how to be a captain.
No,
you teach him how to be you do what I say.
A war. Yeah.
I think Saru really comes out of this I think before this, there was kind of a thought that he was just kind of a coward. And actually, it kind of showed that he has some strengths that actually help the crew. And he's not just going to...
What I also learned, he's a pretty good tactician.
Yeah. No, definitely. He's a very good tactician.
Very good tactician.
And no coward would have flown into the battle like he did. He definitely...
Damn the consequences. And then where I thought Saru just threw me off this episode when he's like, just wake that thing up and get us the fuck out of here. Seriously. I was like, whoa.
No brotherhood with another kind of non-brotherhood beast.
And that's what I was thinking. I was thinking Saru being, where he's from, and knowing that, we get raised as food, I would think he would have some type of connection and be like, you know what? Yeah, let's find another way. But he was like, no, wake it up and let's get out of here. Seriously. And
no, sorry.
No.
I was gonna say I agree with Patrick though. I thought they really proved he wasn't a coward, because I wouldn't have went after that captain.
Saru has something to prove. Saru has something to prove, and I think because remember what episode 1 when he said to her, "You're a demon, but I will protect my captain." Or something along those lines. When he said to her, "I will protect my captain," Saru had something to prove, and I think he finally, got it out of his system.
What's up with Starfleet being no help? Starfleet's like, he's your captain. It's your job to go get him. Like, no help at all.
We got a fleet of ships. Literally, we got a fleet of ships. Can we at least get some Marines or something? What was our plan?
Because
you like at least run a distraction, like go attack over here on this border while we warp over here. Like, help us out.
Nope. Hey,
what did you guys think of the? What did you guys think of the escape? And the escape and all that good stuff. Like when they were escaping, when Lorca and.
So sex slave, right? I don't know what to call sex slave yet. But
Ash.
Of course, Anthony goes to sex slave. I'm like, really?
No. Time out, CJ. In my notes, I have him as sex slave. I didn't.
Okay, hey. I thought this was just Anthony that was saying. I'm like, of course.
It's because Lorel liked him.
CJ, did you just speak in the last 5 minutes to take a shot?
No. I'm chiming in because they're basically echoing what I'm feeling. Because I was just saying, look, so my thing with Star Trek Discovery is like, I'll pick at certain things that I remember from the original series, like Mud. It's like, oh shit, I remember that dude, But for the most part, I'm just kind of just like watching along and seeing all these crazy things. Like I'm still on the thing with the Klingons. Like, hey, are these Klingons going to evolve at some point? I hope they do.
So that was two things there. One, I love sex slave, right? Like he played a perfect part, played possum. He jumped back in. He even hinted like, she has uses for me or whatever he said. And Mom was like, yeah, he's smacking him. She's taking him every night, and he still get punched. That's fucked up. Anyway, so I liked him, and he was playing possum. It was like I was waiting for the right man to help escape. I was like, that's great. I love it. And it also showed me why they haven't introduced us to the other crew members yet, because this is some Mass Effect stuff. He is building his crew. You know what I mean? He is building the people we care about, because I'm pretty sure sex slave is going to be the new head of security or whatever.
Gotta do a loyalty mission, Anthony. That's the only way this works.
Yeah. I was like, all right, I get it. We're building a team here.
Anthony, do you forgive them for killing Landry off?
Killed who?
Landry last week.
Exactly. Killed who?
Exactly. Right. See what I'm talking about? And you were so pissed.
No. You're missing my point. I'm pissed because she was the only person that had any personality, really. So she was one of the only 4 people to have a personality, and they killed her just to prove a point that they could kill her. I get where they're going now. They wanted to replace her with sex slave. Like you can't have sex slave and her on the same ship. But I was looking forward to her proving how Vulcans don't know how to fight and all this stuff she was backing up. I was like, yeah.
I was kind of looking forward to some girl on girl action last week. I thought they were gonna I thought it was gonna be a thing where they would not like each other, then they would fight, and then all of a sudden they'd have this mutual respect. Like, okay,
at least a sparring session.
Right.
At least let me know where I can remember. It's like, oh man, she died in the first season, but you know what? She was a cool character. Like
Tasha Yar.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was thinking is Tasha Yar. But at least Tasha Yar, we got some personality.
Yeah.
We saw her survive the rape gangs and crap of her planet. Like even the captain. We spent the whole episode getting to know the captain that I loved and they killed. That I'm still kind of upset about.
All right.
But
we also know. Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't like the Klingon genitalia change, because we know Klingons.
Oh yeah, what's that all about?
I was like, we know Klingons have sex with humans. We know Worf was knocking boots all the time. Well, 3 times.
Well, when Worf wasn't angry, we knew he was knocking boots then. Otherwise,
I think they just want to go full alien with this one. They just want to make sure that we're just. But the other thing is, this is a question I have. I think I've had this question from when I first saw them. Do Klingons? The fact that they want to keep their race so pure, is it because their genes are weak? And if they start mixing, they're going to start, devolving or evolving into something different.
You watched Enterprise. You know they're affected by the mutagenic plague or whatever thing. That's the reason why they put in canon that we had those human-looking ones that were really racial stereotypes, and then we had the Worf era ones. And I was okay with their design change, except you're making them so they're not Klingons anymore. Are anybody getting that? Like little by little, these aren't Klingons.
Let's see what happens.
But, all right. So we find out.
I think I might agree with you if this is exactly what we have at the end of things, but No, I mean, I don't know. I don't know the details of Klingon genitalia, so I can't really go into what was.
I'll send you some pictures.
Apart from the fact that Worf was having boots. No.
But the other thing is, we know humans and Klingons are compatible because we have half humans.
Sure.
We've had like.
Yeah. Well, and you had like. Humans. I mean, that Dax isn't a human, but human.
Maybe it's going to start from L'Rell. Maybe the first one is going to start from L'Rell.
Dax also had sex with somebody with a translucent skull, transparent skull. So I mean, Dax is in freaky stuff, which is again
why we missed Anthony last week, because these random tidbits, like random information.
He keeps track of who sleeps with who on Star Trek.
So Lorca isn't Riddick exactly. He was at the Battle of the Binaries, and he had an accident, and we find out the coolest part about Lorca is.
Wait, did that happen at the Battle of Binary?
Yes. No, not the injury, but it the injury? I don't know. Anyway, but he left his ship during the battle.
Yep.
And blew them up.
Which is crazy. And I don't totally understand what's going on there, because what? Like what?
Yeah, except Patrick, we don't know these Klingons. These Klingons ate my favorite captain from this show.
All right, that's fair. Hey, whoa. So fair enough. They ate, and also like Picard does the same thing almost in First Contact.
Yes.
He's like killing people that are getting assimilated by the Borg, but still,
yeah.
The fact that the captain. Let's think about this. The captain ran. He ran to a shuttle. He runs to a shuttle. He jumps
the ship up
on that shuttle.
Nope.
He flies away in his shuttle, and then he presses the button that blows up his crew, and we're supposed to sympathize?
I don't think you should be able to remote detonate the self-destruct.
That seems like a design flaw, doesn't it? One hacker could take out the Federation.
Nobody else could be in that shuttle? Like, nobody else? Like, not him and 5 other people?
but we find out that Discovery is his road to redemption. Just like it is for Michael.
No. But let's hang on what Patrick just said, though. Like this wasn't like, he's, like, normal, like, you know what they do? Like, Picard, Riker, they go to that panel, they say, we want to initiate the self-destruct mechanism. They stay on that ship. He was like, I'm ordering self-destruct, and all you people stay.
His first officer was a dumbass.
No, it's fine.
But his first officer's a dumbass because there's no way the captain is talking about something. Let me go down. Let me go down real quick. I'll go down to Shuttle Bay, and I'll go. No, you're supposed to go to the captain.
Hang on. I'll be right back.
I'll be right back.
I gotta go take a crap. You gotta take it down. Make sure it's keep ticket. I'll be right back.
Anyways, when Saru and Discovery jumped into that Klingon space sector, the tardigrade Ripper like shriveled up and became that ball of whatever, and Saru's like, yeah, so we they go up to the bridge to be like, hey Saru, this is what's going on, this is the situation, Ripper can't do nothing for us now, we're done. Like, and it's like,
when does the whole science scene happen? When so
she Michael goes to the doctor and asks the doctor to come examine
that's
Ripper.
Right. I love that scene where it's the 4 of them all standing there, like this proves to me that Michael's not a twink, because you see where she has knowledge, Stamets has knowledge, the doctor has knowledge, Tilly has knowledge, and they're all working together as a team to figure things out.
All right. People watching don't know what we're talking about because that was all offline, right? Unless I talked about it last week from y'all side of perspective, that argument.
Oh, we definitely do. We talk about it all the time.
So for my side of this, I have said that Michael is very close to being a twink. I don't think she's a Mary Sue because everybody hates her. So that negates the Mary Sue concept. But Michael fits what the very genesis of Mary Sue was. Did y'all talk about the history of this?
No, we didn't do that because you weren't here. We didn't need to talk about that.
We just talked about
she wasn't.
All we did is talk about how you're wrong, and then just moved on.
That's it. Like, we didn't need to go into an explanation as to why.
All right.
You weren't here to defend yourself.
All right. Listen. So the Twink started from back in the 70s. There weren't a lot of female strong sci-fi characters apparently, but there was a lot of female fan fiction. This 3-page, I think 2 or 3-page story by this one fan fiction female writer was with her being like half human, half Vulcan, but had her emotions, had the powers of Vulcans. She was captain, the best engineer, the one beating the bad guys, Spock, McCoy, and so it's Spock, McCoy, and Kirk all fell in love with her, and so that quickly got turned by the other female fanfiction writers as being a Mary Sue. That's the genesis of all this Mary Sue stuff. Someone happens to be really like the best at a lot of things, and everybody loves her, and she has the best of both of all these different species or whatever. So I said no because people hate her. I don't think she should be redeemed in this series, and I really hope she's not redeemed. I mean, on a mass scale. I mean, her crew can like her and trust her, but on a mass scale, I hope she's not redeemed. But a Twink, to me, for people who play tabletop role-playing games, who had really strict game masters like some people on this podcast. If you were playing a World of Darkness game and said, "Hey, I want to be half vampire. I want to be half vampire, half werewolf," you're a freaking Twink.
Get out of here.
Hey, I want to be good.
Anthony, we just listened to you talk for 5 minutes on what a Twink and what a Mary Sue is, and I still don't know what the difference is. But hey, let's get back to Discovery, okay? That's what we're gonna do.
Anyway, my thing is to Patrick's thing is that she is still in the top 3 of almost every profession on a typical star on the typical Star Trek series. She could run for a majority of the top. I'm not gonna say 3, top 4. She's probably the top 4.
Oh,
any
reducing
position.
it.
No, I could do 3, but you guys don't agree with me. So I mean, think about it.
You're right.
Let's see. First officers.
There's only like 5 Star Treks.
Is she top 3?
Actually,
but you're picking between like 5 characters.
No, because T'Pol's better than her.
No, I don't. Right. I don't think so. But go ahead. Because she compete. Let's not even do numbers because she compete.
Yeah, no, Michael can compete, and she definitely should compete. The only reason she even is on Discovery is because she can compete. If she couldn't compete, then she'd be sitting rotting in jail.
So hold on. So first officer, right? Let's say because she can compete with any command. Because if she had a starship of equal strength versus any other captains of equal strength, could she compete?
Her crew would hate her.
Could she compete?
She ain't better than the god Cisco, so there you go.
Could she compete though?
She'd be all right. She could.
She'd be all right. She'd be in the mix.
The
question is, was she being the mix? She'd be in the mix.
Science officer. Could she compete?
Yes, that's her specialty.
I mean, she will not be the science officer on most ships. No, I think she would not be the science officer. She would not be the science officer. She would not be the science officer on Enterprise because T'Pol has her beat.
Yeah. I'm saying because she compete. Look, who can beat who?
Has her beat.
Look, who can beat who? You guys are going to debate to the end of time. But I'm saying because she compete.
Yes.
She can be in the mix. But she's a science officer.
Anyone can compete by your standards.
No. Well, that's my standards. I'm asking y'all. So let's put security officer because she compete there.
We don't know.
No,
we haven't seen enough. We haven't seen enough.
Be honest, but what we've seen.
No, I don't know.
I mean, she gets beat by a Klingon out in outer space.
No, she killed him.
Well, on accident.
Yeah, not with her martial prowess.
Somebody lost their head, including security officer on this ship. She came in with a plan, risked herself, die-hearted through the ducts. She's martial arts specialist.
All right, let's get back. We're almost done anyway. I'm almost done with the recap.
I gotta ask you before you go to the recap. This does tie into the whole thing with Discovery. So the whole thing with the them doing the warp jumps and stuff with the tardigrade and stuff. Can somebody really explain it to me? 'Cause I'm still kind of wrapping my head around.
Yeah, it has to do with quantum entanglement. So it has to do with quantum entanglement. So if you, so
Anthony's about to confuse everybody.
Right. No, it's fine.
Calm down.
It makes sense.
So how can I put this? So think about everything connected through quantum, right?
How about this? Think about this. You ever heard of like twins where like one does something, the other one can feel it?
Yeah. So if you're able to affect your quantum signature in one place of the galaxy and a quantum signature on the other place of the galaxy and make it similar, I guess, you would actually switch places and you really would destroy where you're at now and also be in the other place. You would be.
And they've actually done this, right? Where they've like basically been able to take two atoms that were attuned to each other, and then they like do something to one atom that's like in the US, and the attuned atom over in Sweden actually changes based on that.
So in real science, the every time discovery would jump, that original discovery would automatically change. It would change pretty much. To not be destroyed, but it would change, and a new discovery exactly the same would end up on the other side of the galaxy. Like that's how it works. If you ever want, like if you ever, and again, I'm no scientist, but like I got really interested in quantum at one point. So like if you ever want to get some real trippy stuff and explain a lot of things in the universe that we can't explain, learn about quantum physics.
And we even I learned this week that apparently doing that in real scientific experiments involves spinning the lab or whatever. So it makes sense that the saucer spins.
That it spins.
Because that's actually how they do that science right now.
Lorca and so let me explain how Lorca and Stamets explained it to us. Well, to us, that don't know nothing about quantum physics or quantum science.
Who aren't Anthony?
Pretty much. He said, think of the mycelium spores as, think of the stars have a network. They're all intertwined in a network. We can't see, we can't traverse the network. The tardigrade can, but the mycelium spores is what can, lets us, opens that network to us. But the tardigrade has each star plotted.
The GPS
pretty much. So when you connect, when you connect to the GPS, it tells the ship this is where you need to go. Boom, you traveling on the network through the assist of the mycelium spores. Boom.
I have a theory for how discovery eventually won't work because it's through these spores, and those spores are like biology. Yeah. All you would need is some sort of virus or something to kill off all those spores, and then the network goes away.
So the Klingons would do something like that, where they would kill a whole network if it gets.
Totally.
So like, this living organism throughout all of the universe, we don't know how it's going to affect us. Kill it all.
So now they've escaped. Sex Slave got his revenge because he decking the shit out of what's her name. Did we talk about Tilly Curson yet?
That's where we're going. We just that's how we got to Twink.
Okay, so
God
Tilly,
damn, Anthony. God damn.
Right. So Tilly, the doctor, Stamets, and Michael are in the science lab talking. Like, okay, so
I love
what other ways? Yes, that scene was beautiful. It's like
that
what
seems
other
like
ways?
Quintessential Star Trek.
And that's the most science. Is it? No, that's like another level of science that we've gotten on this show because we got science last week. We're getting another level of science. Yes.
But this is the first time we've seen them working together as a group and being a team
rather than
one person.
Where it's not just Michael figuring out, it's a team. I really like that.
Michael has never really figured out anything on her own yet.
Well, that's not true.
That's not true. Last episode was almost all about her figuring something out on her own.
Yeah, almost every episode is about her figuring stuff out. which I'm not getting into the conversation. I was just saying I liked that it was a group effort where you had these different specialties coming together and being like, but I like the doctor. And I thought that when I saw him, I was like, oh, look, he's not playing a gay character. And it was like, oh, he's playing a gay character.
I mean, he ain't lying on that one, Anthony. I was kind of sort of going in that direction. I'm like, oh, he's a straight dude. All right, cool.
Yeah, because he usually plays gay characters. And I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, isn't that in itself a positive thing that, like, he doesn't have to be, like, I don't know, the stereotype
progression.
Yeah, he's just a guy who happens to be gay instead of being like
Same thing. I think you're right. Like, I never go. Patrick Swayze always plays a straight character. No, he doesn't.
Wilson
he plays gay characters.
The actor.
Wilson
Cruz is the actor's name.
Yeah, but I remember him just growing up from the '90s on up. He always plays a gay character.
He was on My So-Called Life, and he was in Rent. We talked about this last week, actually.
Oh,
yes,
did you?
We did.
Okay.
Again, we already talked about all of this. You're new to this. Okay, so be quiet. All right. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No. Keem told me yesterday that I have to keep you in check.
Oh yeah, Keem would say that. But it's more pleasant coming from Keem. So all right, but yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, we get to the scene, they figure this out, and they figure out another way for them, like you can use another person, you can use human beings to do what the tardigrade does, and you have to test. But didn't Starfleet ban testing on human beings?
I love that they went back to eugenics because again, Starfleet is really because of, and it makes sense because of the eugenics war and Khan and all them stuff. Starfleet is like, you will not genetically modify, you will not. Like even things we can do today, we get a feeling that Starfleet would not do because they are so against messing with having these super enhanced soldiers anymore.
Well, for them, it's a much more slippery slope too, because they have so much potential.
Yeah. So we get back on the. So
this is kind of a cheat. One of my biggest issues with the show is actually this whole we've created a thing that now we just plug into somebody and then they can do what the tardigrade did. I kind of felt like that. It felt, I don't know, lazy, and now I understand why. I found out that originally the tardigrade was supposed to be a character on the show. The tardigrade is actually supposed to become Actually, it was supposed to become Stamets's boss and was going to have a station in the engineering area and be like a full, realized talking humanoid character. And then they cut that for budget reasons. And so they needed a way to have a way to still do these jumps without the tardigrade being on the ship anymore because they were cutting the tardigrade out of the show. But that would have been weird.
Well, it's been like a trope before where you need this one, like they do it on Voltron, they did it on Outlaw Star. Like you need this one special character to do these jumps through space.
Yeah.
Again, I think I've gotten a more feel that this is Mass Effect. Like, I'm gonna collect Sex Slave. I'm gonna collect, hyperspace jump bear. I'm gonna, he's collecting a crew. Like I think that
jump bear. What?
That's I don't know. I accepted the reason why the rest of these crew members are cannon fodder because if they get picked up on a loyalty mission or if you don't get a loyalty mission, then no, you are expendable. I expect to see you die. You're all with shirt.
I did kind of think Sex Slave was going to die. I thought he was going to die, but he didn't. He kind of survived. They left Harry Mudd on the Klingon ship, so it's going to be, like I said, I hope this is not the last we get of Harry Mudd for Discovery, or I don't know. He needs a spinoff. Like he needs his own show after this. But
Harry Mudd?
What? You didn't like seeing him?
I like seeing him, but I don't know. Maybe we had many 5-minute episode shorts online or something on Discovery.
Give him his own damn. I wasn't giving him his own damn show. It's like no,
that wasn't. I don't really care about Harry Mudd. I am interested in what he said. I mean, I care about him I enjoyed this. I don't want to watch him for an hour a week.
Maybe 30 minutes, 25.
I think it would be interesting. Like a comment. Yeah. It'd be like Quark going around in space.
Yeah, I love Quark. I wouldn't want to see a whole show based around Quark either. I think that I would love to see more about what he was talking about, as in it's you guys flying around, and then it's us in these colonies
down here. Yes, that was a sick line.
Because again, this isn't the pristine. Everybody's fed and everybody's clothed.
This gets back to what we were talking about at the very beginning about how Federation just doesn't know what they're doing yet. They just have no idea what they're doing yet.
That becomes more and more apparent. So, even the council that got together did act like they didn't give up. Also,
no, they didn't care. because they were like, yeah, we're gonna go find more tardigrades. So you need to chill out. We're gonna go find more, and then when we find more, we're gonna start building more ships. They already just
aren't they already building ships? Didn't they say something like that?
I feel like they're coming up with all of this on the fly. Like everything is just okay. Yeah. So this is
I told you it's like NASA going to war.
Yeah, like crap, Taylor. All right, you put this big Gatling gun on top of this shuttlecraft.
And do what?
Well, it's gonna be like Armageddon.
Well, what's funny about that is that okay, I know as most people didn't like Into the Darkness, but what I liked about Into the Darkness was the fact that you had what's his face from the first movie, him coming through that portal and really fucking up Starfleet so early. It made them it made them in the second movie like, we really should arm up in case we have that happen again. Versus if he never came through that portal, they would still been just a federation of just.
Well, the Federation we see in this movie.
Yeah, they'd just be explorers instead of the second movie where it's like, we really need to start calling the arms and making some weapons.
Yep.
Like this movie, well, I guess not, but when the Kelvin is destroyed would have happened like, 10 years before this movie? Right?
Yes.
That's what sets off the Kelvin universe is the Kelvin gets destroyed by him coming through. So that would have happened 10 years before this movie. And so we're kind of seeing a different version of that buildup that we saw in the movies.
Wait, is this still the Kelvin timeline?
No, it's not the Kelvin timeline. No. But the reason the Kelvin timeline is called the Kelvin timeline is because the Romulan comes through, like breaks into that reality, right? And then destroys the Kelvin, which creates a chain reaction that creates like an alternate history.
Right.
So I'm saying if he had never broken through, this is what we would have.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So they escape. Saru orders them to jump, and they jump, and then we find out that hey, something's wrong, or someone someone hasn't cleared the jump bay or whatever, and so they go check, and Stamets is there. He's down, and it's like, and to Patrick's point, I was like, "Yep, that's another." They just gave him a red shirt this episode, and he's gone.
Yeah,
but apparently, it was so weird because I thought
it took that much of a toll on. I was like, I was mad. I was like, oh my gosh,
it did.
Yeah,
is that Sex Slave's name? Is that Sex Slave's name? Stamets?
No.
Stamets.
The scientist.
Dude, come on, man, keep up.
The scientist.
Oh, the scientist. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong one. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. So. What I was thinking is, if it took that much of a toll on the tardigrade, why did it seem like all he did was he just passed out. It didn't look like it took that much of a toll on him. I don't know. I was kind of confused by it.
Really, you don't think it looked like it took that much of a toll on him?
I think his recovery, because they were like he almost no life signs, as they said.
Yeah,
it started laughing, which I loved, but I think his recovery should have been.
Yeah, he was longer. Like back up and running.
Yeah,
he was back up and running.
That's fair.
I'm like, whatever. And so
I felt like after that episode, like they may never jump again because it was so intense on him.
Yeah. I think what's going to happen is maybe moving forward, we're going to see more and more testing, and we're going to figure out more, a different way to do this. So I think we're looking at stuff like that. So,
do you think we're going to get a scene of the captain being like, "All right, so where's my tardigrade?"
Hell yes.
No. We're going to get a scene. We're going to get a scene of the captain in the mess hall eating something, and then Michael's going to walk up and be like, "Saru," and the cat Lorca's just going to look down.
Like,
he got rid of my tardigrade.
Yeah. Smother this ketchup on your skin. Yeah. Now you can explain. So there's some things about Loka. I'm sorry. I know y'all might have talked about this already, but y'all talk about how when he got caught, how ready and prepared he was just to fight the Klingons, and then I thought he might have left Sex Slave in the hallway when he was like, "Yeah, I'll be back for you." I did not know whether he's going to be back in that.
I found out what he did.
He did blow up his entire crew.
Yeah, he's not coming back for you. Like, he told dude, he's like, I'll be right back. I'm like, nah, he's not coming back for you, dude. Like, you're dead. Just call it a day. And he came back. I was like, I guess he's trying to redeem himself. So this might mean that Sex Slave might get a bigger role on the show.
Oh, I guarantee it.
And so at the end of the episode, did you all catch the Mirror Man?
His name is Ash. His name is Ash.
Ash, not Sex Slave.
Ash. Oh, yeah, definitely. He's getting a bigger part. You don't waste the ash on anybody. Ashley.
Did you guys catch? So at the end of the episode, Stamets is brushing his teeth, talking to his boyfriend, like, "Hey, don't do this again. I love you, boo." Did you catch
really good scene, by the way.
Really good. I kind of just went through it. I shouldn't have done that. I should have given the scene more justice. But yeah, Stamets walked out, and we see his mirror image. I'm like, yeah. I don't know why I thought mirror Star Trek. As soon as I saw that, I was like, yes.
Of course, it's definitely mirror universe. He walks away and his mirror image stands there, and we already know a mirror universe episode is coming. So
it's coming,
and I think it's directed. It's directed by Jonathan Frakes. Riker.
Oh, yes.
So
Frakes on his damn directing trip again. Awesome. Hey man, Frakes gave us fucking First Contact, so I'm like, yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh wow, didn't know that.
And he also directed the best episode of the Orville too, I think.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh, but that's the end of the episode. That was Star Trek Discovery Choose Your Pain. I loved it. We've talked about it and we've each picked something we didn't like or we thought was.
There's two things I'd like to really talk about real quick though.
Yeah, shoot, go for it. So this is the part.
Number one, is Ash a Klingon?
Oh.
Good one.
Is he a Klingon?
Half Klingon at this point.
Your definition of half species stuff does not make sense to me, Mo. Hey, she's half Vulcan. Still, she just went to Vulcan school. Hey, it's half Klingon. No, he just fucked the Klingon. That'll make you a Klingon.
They do bring up that whole thing, the genitalia that doesn't align, and then also we know that what's his name? What's the name of the albino? Where's the albino? Where'd he go? And he's supposed to. What's it going to cost you? Everything.
And the captain,
the albino?
And the captain was a spy master.
Yeah.
The captain, she was a spy master.
Is Ash the albino?
Oh crap!
Oh wow!
Because if you wanted to infiltrate somebody, you would use a spy master, and she said her family was spy masters.
And was it the Deep Space Nine or the original episode with the Tribbles, where the Tribbles are able to detect a Klingon that's like
original
human?
And there's a Tribble in that guy's office.
Yes, so that was what I was getting to. And there's a Tribble. There's a Tribble.
Patrick.
So I want to see Ash stand next to a Tribble. That's what end result is. I just want to see Ash walk in next to that Tribble.
And it was really easy for them to escape out of Klingon territory. I mean,
right.
Especially since they know the ship can do the things it does now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh man,
so,
Patrick, I love that.
That was a good catch. So CJ, Anthony, what was your review of the episode, or did you already talk about how you felt about it?
Well, I know at least for me, I enjoyed it. Like I said, just to see, blah. Man, I am fucking up. I'm fucking up my head right now. Yeah, it was interesting. It's also my confirmation of Saru being okay. I eased up on calling him evil because, like I said, from like the second episode and stuff, well, not second episode, third episode with him and his interaction with Burnham and stuff, it's like, man, that dude's going to heel turn on this whole fucking crew. And then you see this fifth episode, and it's like, well, he isn't evil, but he really doesn't give a shit about people, especially when he basically killed his own crew. Basically, this isn't the first time he's been leader of a ship.
I'm going to need more info on that crew dying. I hope we get more details.
I hope so too.
There better be some details.
I gotta watch it again because I wasn't sure where. Was it because he was he part of the Battle of the Binary, or was he?
Well, he said you were at because when he asked the kid, when he asked the kid, he was like, "Were you at the Battle of the Binary?" And he looked like that was a big thing to him.
Yeah.
And also just seeing mud, and I was like, deep cuts, yes. Because hey, I'm a sucker for those kind of things. It's like if you throw it in, because I was waiting for that in Discovery, because like you said, this takes place before the original series. You got Anthony, some references.
Here's another reference for you, CJ. Did you notice the 3 lights?
No, I didn't catch it.
Do you know what that reference is?
Yes, I know what it references.
I don't. What is it?
It's Picard tortured by the
torture scene. Look it up.
Snap.
There's also, when we were torturing people in America, there was also a nice video that referenced the Picard torture scene about what we don't do. So that was
Oh man.
Can we cut your mic off when you're about to go?
Fucking done, son.
No, seriously.
Yeah, that was a pretty slick TNG reference they snuck in there.
That was nice. That was nice.
I didn't even notice that. Wow.
So, Anthony, what was your review of the episode?
Oh, I loved it. I had enough science stuff for me. I like Loka. Loka is a more complex character. I like that Starfleet doesn't really trust him. I'm really hoping Section 31 stuff becomes more apparent. I think that I enjoy seeing his personality. I want to see that ship blown up in a flashback or something. Like Klingons would have had to board that ship and is killing everybody.
Exactly. What is going on? What is going on?
And even then, like, unless Klingons are known just to eat people, because I don't want to be eaten, because no one wants to be eaten. But if it's a labor camp, like come and rescue me after the war, Captain. Like I can survive.
And we know they have a penal colony because it happens in a undiscovered country or whatever. And also, does it happen in Enterprise that somebody goes to that penal colony?
Yeah,
probably. So and I think they said their thing was with 3 years survival rate. Captain, give me a chance. Come and save me. God damn.
So in essence, you are against what he did, blowing up the ship.
No, I find it very interesting. I don't know if I can be against that more detail. I think that I'm enjoying the show. I think I like that when I do have an issue with something, we get a couple more episodes, and I'm like, okay, I see where you're going with it now, and I still like this world. The autistic engineer, I love him, or scientist. I like him. I like when he started laughing at what he experiences, and I saw the whole thing.
I'm not sure. So that laughter, I don't know. Are we sure that's our same Stamets? Because one thought I had is, what if that's the Mirror Universe Stamets, who's now...
That might be it. So
right, and autism kid, not autism kid, that sounds so bad. Autism engineer guy, he would find it really interesting if he was in a mirror and shake his head like, yeah, look at this. Okay, I'm going to go explore over here right now. I think that's really interesting. This show could do anything to me. I mean, I wasn't going to say I don't even want Q to show up, but even Q could show up at this point, and I'll be happy. Like, I'm enjoying the show. They're moving forward. If he's building his Mass Effect team, I'm cool with it. Let's rock. What's the next episode about?
Discovery really is a goddamn Mass Effect show, basically. It really is.
Yeah? My calling effort.
It's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's not.
What's the next episode about? Do we know? Do y'all know?
No, we
I saw one clip where Michael just like falls down and has a seizure or something, and that's all I've seen.
Oh, she just fails? She fails for once? She just fails?
No, she's like eating food, and then suddenly she has almost like a heart attack or something.
Oh, she's developing her Q powers. That was the total scene,
so it doesn't tell you very much.
She's developing her Q powers so she can go hang out with Wesley. So, no, I loved it. Actually, guys, thanks for having me on. I'm sorry I was so late. I got to run.
All right.
Okay, it's fine. Thank you for coming, though. Thank you for coming. Wow, it's kind of cool because we're pretty much rounding out anyway. So, but no, I really liked the episode. I thought this was, again, what Star Trek Discovery has done is, I said this, I think, episode 2 or episode 3, where I feel like it gets stronger every episode, and it's gotten stronger. Like we've gotten to more of the crew. I finally understand what Saru's deal is, because I thought Saru was like, according like Patrick was saying, like type of a coward. Like he just couldn't make decisions, and he was more of a follower. He couldn't do his own thing. But it's like now he's himself again. Like we know who he is, and we know why he's the way he is. And I thought that was really good. They gave him his own subplot plot.
Pretty dope.
However, I loved Lorca's backstory. And I've said this,
I like the reason that his eyes are messed up. I'll give it that. Yes. I'm not sure I like the backstory, but the reason his eyes are messed up is a good reason. It's cool.
And I would serve. I've told you guys this. I would.
Knowing
now, right now, I still would, because it would mean that my captain would rather
you up.
You know what? I'd rather be blown up than get eaten by a Klingon.
I'm gonna fight.
And you brought up that point, because at the end of episode 4, the Butcher's Knife, we find out that L'Rell tells Vogue that, hey, look, dude, you're gonna have to give up everything. does he give up his ability to be Klingon and get cloaked, or did he have to go through was it just? Now the thing is, if that is him, it's a theory, right? If that is him, is he still Klingon or is he full human now?
Well, sure. Like, it happens multiple times in Star Trek where people, because like also in Deep Space Nine, remember they all pretend to be Klingons and like go.
Yes.
So I think it's just a thing you can do in the world of Star Trek.
Okay, I hope but again, because Discovery being the show it is.
Yeah.
Discovery being the show it is, maybe they want to just go ahead and say, you know what, F that.
Yeah,
we'll do this instead, because they drastically changed the design of the Klingons.
What could be really interesting is if he starts to have, if he is
glitches,
a Klingon, if he starts to actually have feelings for the crew of Discovery, that could be really interesting.
Yes, that'll be. But yeah, I like I like the direction of the show. And for me, if Discovery ends, I want it to be a finite end. I want it to either the ship is destroyed, everyone on the ship dies, or they go and never speak about anything they did ever again.
So this episode for me is what sealed it. I said that about the last episode, but this episode for me really sealed it because I got to see ensemble. And that was the one thing I was saying I really missed last week, is that it didn't feel like an ensemble show. Right. And now I feel like we're developing the characters where we can start to have episodes that aren't all about Michael. And I hope that continues. Not that we shouldn't have episodes that are about Michael. She's definitely the driving narrative force, but I hope we get more episodes like this as well, where it's not all about her.
Right. I mean, eventually we're going to get episodes that's going to have to detail everyone else. But I just think, seriously, even if you keep the show, and like you said earlier, when it comes to Michael, when it comes to the fact that, every other Star Trek show was on the bridge, but this one is not necessarily a bridge show, but we find a reason to get up on the bridge. And once in a while, if you have the people on the bridge actually interact with everyone else, that would be nice for me, because again, the bridge just seems so isolated from everything else.
It really does. I think it's really interesting. I thought that the show would be really boring if it didn't take place on the bridge. And I think this episode's the first episode to challenge that assumption for me. I'm still not convinced, but it at least challenged that idea.
I think something better than nothing.
Yeah, I think moving forward, we're going to get more bridge. But, getting a bridge here, a bridge there, to me just seems like
every episode, they'll find a way.
Yeah. The perfect way to do it is before you get fully on the bridge, because, again, Michael doesn't have a reason to be on the bridge.
No, not at all. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, so
part of it is the ensemble allows you to be up there more as well.
Yeah. Anyways, so we've come to the part of the show where we like to round up and we like to talk about where we're from. So CJ, if you want to go ahead and plug your channel and let everyone know where you're from.
You can find me on Twitter at 3BlackGeeks. You can find my co-host D at D the Black Geek, and DD Sue at Black Nerd Japan. That is BLK Nerd Japan, all one word. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, any podcast app that you use to listen to us. You can find us on. Crosby does a recaps with me for The Gifted, which I need to watch tonight. And we're doing weekly recaps of that. That is on our other feed, 3BG recaps and discussions. You can subscribe to that. Hit us up with some reviews and questions, because that will really help us out. And that's about it. Oh, and also go to our YouTube channel, check out all our stuff. I know me and Crosby probably got some New York Comic Con stuff that needs to be posted up soon and such. Bro. So that's about it.
Yeah, Patrick, if you didn't know this, CJ, Patrick is officially Earth 2. So
So I'm Patrick. I'm from the Earth 2 Comicast, and I'm basically just on the Discovery discussion, but Mo is really awesome and lets me come on and talk Star Trek once a week, so I'm happy to be here. And Anthony is from Draw 4, which is another podcast that you should definitely check out, where they talk about TV shows and movies and pop culture, and they get in really funny arguments, and it cracks me up.
Really fun. So there's that, and then coming up Friday, we're gonna do our Star Wars. We're gonna go to another.
That's right, we're doing Rebels.
Yeah, we're doing Rebels, and this should be fun because Rebels started tonight or started today, and so we're gonna talk Rebels from season 1 up to this point, and then talk about how the show might end. Don't know yet if we're gonna do a weekly recap, but we'll talk about it later and we'll figure that out. But it's Rebels is definitely coming this week, and
who's more nefarious, Hondo or Mud?
Hondo. I love Hondo.
I go Hondo too.
All right.
Yeah, this is definitely Hondo.
All right.
Wait. And that's funny that you asked that question because they're literally like
the same character.
The same character pretty much, and from two totally different universes. But yeah. We'll be doing Star Wars Rebels this week. So yes, like CJ said, stuff from New York Comic Con is going to start going up. We dropped a bunch of pictures on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Earth2 Comicast. That's with the number 2. We do trailer reactions. Did one today for Black Panther. I mean, that was a pretty awesome trailer that I'm excited about. I think CJ and I are going to discuss that on
among other things.
How about you and Lucas?
No.
We love Lucas. I'll say this, man. I feel Lucas keeps us grounded to a point, but at other times it's like, nah, Lucas, you're not gonna kill this thing.
He does.
Not today, man.
No, because today, I don't want to be grounded today. I want to love Black Panther today.
All right. That's fair.
You're not gonna kill it for me. So yeah, he would kill it today. I mean, if you wanted Patrick, you can come on. But yeah, we're gonna do that. And that's gonna be done, and that's gonna come up on 3 Black Geeks. But Earth2 Comicast, the podcast, because we have audio from New York coming out. That's gonna come out
probably right around probably whenever Runaways drops. You'll probably see stuff in that, and then Agents of Shield, and then the Tick. So yeah,
they were so awesome to talk to. So yes, thank you very much for watching. It's always a pleasure to do this every week with these guys. Definitely Patrick. So you will definitely be seeing a lot more of Patrick on Earth2 because I'm gonna talk to him about certain things. Yes.
All right.
Because if you love gaming, video games, and just board games and stuff like that, Patrick is the guy who I might be asking to help.
Thank you.
Kind of like Earth2. So yeah, I don't know why I just put you on the spot before actually talking to you about it, but yeah, thank you guys again for watching. Thank you guys for coming through and making this happen. It's Earth2, and we're signing out. Peace.
Bye, Mo. Bye, CJ.
See ya.